I'm glad that Mr. Hagerman started with the question, what does it take? What does it take to kill a pillar of this community? What does it take to take a person's life on a dark road? I don't know if anybody here has ever been to Callus Cutoff, but you can barely get back then 2 cars down that road. So at midnight, during the midnight hour, what would it take to kill a 7-foot basketball star? What would it take to kill a person who had done nothing but bring joy to his family and his friends? They've traveled the world, they've seen great things, they've had experiences that these people lived through this man. What would it take to strike him down if you're his wife? What would it take to try to get him to Memphis if you're his wife at one point? More importantly, at this point, not married, but you're the mother of his children. What would it take to do that? Would it take a man who they describe as a yard man, but a man who's got his own business? He doesn't cut just Cheryl Wright's yard. Does it take a man who is her secret love interest that nobody describes as her secret love interest except for the man that y'all are going to have to put this case on in a few days? It's Jimmy Martin. Edna's J. Martin, I think he's called in older cousin Shara's phone book. Edna's J. Doesn't even have his own name or identity to go by. But what does it take to do that? What does it take, as Mr. Hagerman said, to lack the courage that it takes to come and stand in front of a man to man, and say, I'm going to take your life, but instead to strike you down while you're waiting, while you're supposed to be out if you're the person's ex-wife, and you got him in the car and say, hey, I'm going to try to call a yard man and see, because he wants to give you some cards on the side of a road. What does it take to do that? What does it take to ask this yard man, who has his own place to live, who has his own car, who has his own motorcycle, who has his own equipment truck, what does it take to ask that person if you can have his car? So that little Jimmy, Edna's J, the trickster, as he goes by in his fledgling rap career, what does it take to get him to give you his car? What does it take to start your investigation at the point of saying, well, I'm going to do an outline from July 17, 2010 into July 23rd, 2010, as opposed to where it's obvious that Jay, little Jimmy, and Shara are talking about going to Atlanta days earlier. It takes a punk's heart that's sitting in prison right now for taking a firearm and shooting his wife or his fiance that he lives with to death. It takes that type of a punk to sit up and come up with a story, and as you're talking to the detectives, to say, they told me this. Who told you this? Billy? What did Billy tell you? He told me that he and Shara put together a plot to drive his car to a road so that he could pull over on the side of the road, and so that Lorenzen can pull over inside the van with Shara, and that Shara would take the gun, and that she would act like she was having an argument with Billy, and then Billy could jump out and shoot him. It would take a person who could come up with that as they're talking to an officer 23 days after they're found guilty of murder in this building, 5 months before they're sentenced to some 18-year sentence for killing his girlfriend. That's what it takes. It takes the type of person who changes facts like a person changes drawers. Underwear, excuse me. It takes that type of person. A person who says, you know what? I had the murder car that night. That's what it's going to take. And then it's going to take, after he figures out that some people probably have talked to detectives, to change that. I wasn't in the car that was used. I didn't have Billy's car that night. But y'all got to listen to this. Y'all gonna have to listen to this. 10 days out of your life. Listen to it and hear it and digest it. It takes a person that not only can take those facts and spin them. I didn't have the murder weapon that night. I didn't find it myself. Or maybe I did. Well, no, I didn't. It takes a person that can weave and go back and forward and back and forward. I don't even know how to cross-examine this man when he comes in here. But I guarantee one thing, the people on this jury have ears. You have the ability to listen and discern, and I don't think it's going to be too hard to quickly understand that the state of Tennessee made a big old mistake. Now, a few minutes ago, Mr. Hagerman pointed out the mistake that Collierville police made. They made a hell of a mistake. They didn't report it. They didn't report this stuff. They didn't call anybody. But guess what the state of Tennessee did? That when this guy says, hey, you know what? I can figure out the murder for you before my sentencing. All right? I can figure out that murder for you. Guess what they do? They give him a permanent get-out-of-jail-free card. Sign this. They signed a contract. Like you go in and buy a car, they signed a contract. No matter what you say, if it changes, if it weaves, if it bobs, there's nothing that we're going to do to you. So this unindicted co-conspirator is a farce. It's a lie. It's nothing. It's something that, as the judge said, a lady from the office reads what we said big happens, and it goes from there. So you do have calls from Billy, because Billy got his car given to Shara. Shara gives it to Jimmy. Now, I don't think that'll ever be disputed, because even in all the other stuff that he says, he always, I got the car from Shara.
We're seeing a much different delivery style, aren't we, with the defense opening statement. My favorite line was where he was talking about it takes a person who changes facts like they change drawers. We're going to step aside for a break. We'll hit the pause button. We'll get you right back in after this.
Deodorant.
Very good Tuesday afternoon to you. Thank you for being with us here on Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We're following two major trials for you this afternoon. If you'd like to continue watching the case of Ohio versus Dr. William Husel, we've got that streaming for you right now. Just go to courttv.com. What we want to do right now is head back into Tennessee. We're seeing opening day playing out here in the case against Billy Ray Turner. So this guy is a deacon. He also, according to the state, had some kind of a romantic relationship going on with his alleged co-conspirator, who is the victim's wife. The victim in this case, NBA star Lorenzen Wright. Let's watch more from defense counsel now.
Hear different facts about what was supposed to have happened on this day. You'll hear facts that there was some meeting, and that when they got to the kitchen during that meeting, there were 3 guns. He changes the type of guns that were supposed to be there. It says that there was the pregnant nanny, who we know is Claudia. You'll see her later today. It says that Shara is there. You'll also hear, I hope, if it's truthful, Claudia say, Shara's always talking about Lorenzen's gonna kill her. That ain't nothing odd. It ain't nothing odd if somebody says, hey, somebody's gonna kill me, and my answer to it is, what am I supposed to do? And it definitely ain't odd for Billy to be there, because once a week, whether or not Shara can pay or she fails to pay, the conversation is always, if you ask them what are the text messages, etc., it's about business with Billy. There ain't no conversation about, I love you. Will you send me a personal picture? Will you send me a picture of your body part? Will you do this, that, or the other? Not from Billy to Shara, but it is from a few other people to Shara. The evidence is going to show, clear as can be, Billy had a well-established life. Billy was living that life in Collierville during that time, in the Memphis area, working, and he was going about life. Also shows he's dealing with church folks. And it was also showed that, you know, I know it's around the perimeters. Let me get it out there. Billy had a history. When Billy was 20, he went to jail. He did his 1.5 years in jail. He got out and he lived his life straight as an arrow. Billy was a man. He dated women. He took care of his responsibilities. He had fun. But he went to church. He went to church during the week. And as you're going to hear from Claudia, he was so slow, her word, that all I knew about Billy, I thought he was slow. I thought he was slow because he stayed that green and straight and narrow. Now, I was wondering yesterday why you heard all of this scenario about a bank robbery and a this and a that, and Paul, as cool as Paul is, kind of got on here about, what about this? What about, you gotta, if it's everybody in this circle, they're guilty. Yada, yada. I said, well, what about if you didn't do nothing? If he's on them, guilty. Judge said, I'll instruct you on the law. And you'll get the law at the end of the case. After you measure what comes out of that chair and is told to you, look at the eye contact, look at the body language, look at how the witness tells what they're going to tell. So yeah, you'll see text messages at certain points and it will become clear, and particularly if Jimmy testifies like I think he's gonna testify, not necessarily truthfully, but it's the fact that we have his recordings that I know he's gonna talk about, you gotta get folks' hands dirty some. Now, he doesn't put himself in the person who's getting his hands dirty. He puts himself as the person that, you know, wanna get information to blackmail Sheriff. That's what you're gonna hear from him. I'm getting information to blackmail Sheriff. So let me be clear. This is what you're going to have to swallow in order to do as Paul, as he whispers, and this, to find him guilty. This is what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to listen to what a person who a few days after he was convicted of killing his girlfriend goes in and tells detectives that I can solve this. And then you're gonna also have to listen to the fact that as he's telling this story, they buy it hook, line, and sinker, and they write him a contract, and they do all of this stuff before they pull Facebook records between Sheriff and Jimmy. Let me be clear on this, because I don't want it to come out that I'm confusing anybody or anything. Before you get concentrated Facebook messages between Sheriff and Jimmy, and you see those messages, and you can take a third grader and figure what they're talking about. And guess whose name ain't no damn where near it? Billy. Billy's got his own life that he's living. Billy would loan his car to any of y'all if somebody that he knew vouched for you. He don't know nothing about little Jimmy other than Jimmy comes to the house one day while he's over there.
Ms. Phillips, you call the court to recess, please, sir.
We'll stand for recess.
Okay, so I want to explain something to you. So we just had a bit of a technical difficulty. So we were watching the defense opening statement on the tape, which is a little bit behind where the trial is in real time. So in real time, that's what popped up just now when we had that technical problem, and it kicked our switch from the tape to live. So there you saw the judge standing up, calling a break. You're not going to miss anything. We just have to fix this so that we can get back to where defense counsel was speaking. Much more animated. Isn't he a lot more animated than we saw the prosecutor? Again, it's a style preference. Not everybody tries the case the same way. That is for certain. Let me bring in my guest now on the program to talk a little bit about what we're seeing today. We have with us, standing by in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Daryl Cohen, and in Atlanta, retired DEA special agent. He's also a retired Memphis police officer. He also trains at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change. change, and he consults with the DeKalb County, Georgia Juvenile Court, Agent Ted Golden. And we want to welcome onto the program a new guest. He is a criminal defense attorney practicing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Andrew Mishlove. Great to see you gentlemen on the show today. Thank you for being with us, and we're going to continue watching together the opens, but while we have a little break and we're getting everything resolved in technical land, I want to ask you about what we're seeing so far. Daryl, I want to begin with you, please. You were the first guest to join us. You've been watching since we started the broadcast here at noon. What do you think so far of the facts being presented to this jury?
Well, Julie, I think the facts are very different from the way they're being presented. The facts, as the assistant DA presented them, were well thought out, meticulous, and boring. And if he could have been more boring, he'd have to take a boring class. The defense lawyer has been animated and I think excellent, but that doesn't have anything to do with the facts. It has to do with how the jury responds to the facts, how the jury responds to this attorney, the two attorneys. The assistant DA has a long case to prove, and he's got to prove it to the satisfaction of the jury so that it's guilty beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. But he's setting it out easy, one step at a time, and that's great. But I think he needs a little bit of energy. He has to give that jury some of the energy that they need to get from him. Now, the defense lawyer is doing exactly what he needs to do. He can't change the facts, but he can change the way the facts are perceived.
Exactly. Daryl, we can always count on you to call it exactly like you see it. And many of our wonderful viewers who are tweeting along with us as they're watching on television are saying the same thing, that they felt like the energy was really low. It's not that the story was bad. The state seems to have a more convincing story, but when the delivery doesn't really match the facts, it can leave something to be desired. And defense counsel has bad facts, but a nice presence, very conversational he is, seems to be really engaging well with the jury. Agent Golden, I have a very particular question for you, if you don't mind, please. Seeing as how you served in the Memphis area some time ago, something that really kind of made my ears perk up with the state's open was when counsel was talking about how nothing was done with that 911 call. He played the call. We know it was Lorenzen Wright to be the first voice calling for help. You hear all those gunshots. It's absolutely chilling. And he talks about how like 9 days went by, 9 days where he says these perpetrators covered it all up because nobody bothered to investigate what was on that call. Share with us your thoughts about that, please.
Well, you know, unfortunately, you have hundreds of thousands of calls that come into the 911 operating center. And the difficulty is always where you're calling from and who you are and whether or not we can locate you. So I can understand the circumstances, though it should have been followed upon earlier. Keep in mind the defense attorney's job is to point out things that might appear to be unusual or unresponded to by law enforcement. It's easy to pick something that you think law enforcement didn't do because there's so many things that you have to do right. And in this situation, he's taking advantage of the circumstances, but these things do occur. You know, I called 911 before recently, and gunshots are going off, and the 911 operator says, "What is that?" And I'm the gunshots. So, you know, it happens. And the funny part was, I'm trying to explain to her where we were, and she couldn't understand it. And she said, "I need an address." So even in today's times, there are issues that occur that causes things not to go perfect.
Right, right. No, most definitely. Nothing is perfect, but it's so sad that all that time went by, and perhaps this investigation could have come to a conclusion much sooner. Andrew Mishlove, question for you, please, about how this is playing out with, we've got an allegation that there were 3 co-conspirators. We've got the wife, Shara Wright, who has pleaded guilty to the facilitation of murder, the murder of her husband, Lorenzen Wright. So she's kind of out of the mix as far as this trial goes. Maybe I would imagine we're going to see her as a witness. But how challenging is that for defense counsel when you've got somebody who's pleaded, you've got another guy who's an alleged co-conspirator, Jimmy Martin, Shara Wright's cousin, who's going to come in and be the state star witness, and then you've got your client, who's the other alleged co-conspirator. How challenging does that make for the defense case?
Well, it's very challenging because he's in the mix. He's part of this nefarious group. And when the government has people testifying against their own interest, admitting, I did this, I was wrong, I'm a criminal, and he's a criminal too, that's very hard to overcome. What the defense has to do is what they're doing, but they have to do more. Right now, the defense lawyer is picking apart statements, showing inconsistencies. The first time he told the story, he said it was one kind of gun. The second time he told the story, he said it was a different kind of gun. All of that is important, and it's important to line all of that up with the burden of proof, of proving everything beyond a reasonable doubt. But to me, he's got to take it a step farther. He has to tell a story that shows why these people are motivated to lie about it. And it has to be more than they're going to get a few years off of their jail sentence for cooperation. I don't think that's very persuasive. I don't think that works. I'm going to be very interested when we hear the rest of the opening statement to see if defense counsel can develop a story that gives the jury a sense of why these people would set Billy Turner up.
Exactly. Andrew Mishlove, so glad to have you on the program, as well as Agent Ted Golden and Attorney Daryl Cohen. Thank you all. We're going to squeeze in a break, see what's going on in technical land with the recording so we can get back to where we left off. Thank you for watching Court TV Live. Also, if you are curious to see what's going on in the Huso case, you can always go to courttv.com. We've got that trial streaming for you live there as well.
At joincalibrate.com.
Welcome back to Court TV Live, and thank you for your patience. Okay, we have the video all queued up, ready to play more of the defense counsel opening statement. Let's watch.
Them to show it to you just like you would any other witness. I don't care if the person has a detective badge on. Ask them to show it to you just like anybody in here would want. Also, listen to those distances because they become very important. And listen to Jimmy. And listen to how he is. Before I sit down, the desperation in here is so clear that I really don't know what to expect. I know that they're gonna probably bring somebody who says, Billy, who's sitting over in the jail watching this, waiting on this day to get before y'all, said, man, Sheriff Plea, I shot that nigga for her. Both side of that. That's all I ask. I also ask that if somebody comes in here that doesn't have any connections or anything that's entrenched or rooted, and that he's all of a sudden marched in, remember the fact that who has a lot of power, a lot of investigatory power, can make a lot of things move, shake, and go in the way that you want, and still weigh the evidence. In this case, it is a thinking man and a thinking lady's case. And I think that you all are the people that can think and see through it, because you can't, there's no way to sit up and say something bad about Lorenzen Wright. He's a great guy. This case, with all due respect to his family and his friends and his fraternity brothers and his close loved ones, this case ain't about him. This case is about Billy Ray Turner. And Billy Ray Turner has a name that once he got out of jail, he dedicated himself to keeping in the right way. And he helped some punk out through his niece or cousin or whatever she is to him, and he's here for it. But guess what? He put his hands in your hands. And I ask that you give that honor, the honor that you have to serve on this jury, the paramount respect that it deserves, and wait until you hear everything to make up your decisions. And I think that here, I'm gonna go through a chart at the end of this about guilt. It's nowhere near beyond a reasonable doubt through the witnesses that they have. But here is one of these rare ring the bell situations where it becomes clear that Billy Ray Turner is innocent and this fiance killer is 100% guilty. But guess what? Y'all ain't gonna get to determine that. And neither will any other Shelby County jury. Thank you. Spirit.
Jeff Smith. 12:45. Counsel approach, please.